There are claims and counterclaims this morning in the fighting around Ukraine's nuclear power plant, a potential disaster that put watchers on edge overnight. These are images from a YouTube live stream that showed the attack to the world, and you can see flames coming out of the plant right there from one of the buildings. You can also make out what appears to be incoming fire striking another building. Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was among the world leaders immediately in touch with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky last night and on into the early morning hours. This morning, the International Atomic Energy Agency, the body that organizes oversight of the world's nuclear power producers, the IAEA, it says the fire is out and the plant is safe.
We, of course, are fortunate that there was no release of radiation and that the integrity of the reactors in themselves was not compromised.
Now, just to repeat that confirmation from the head of the IAEA, there is no radiation leak at the facility. This is new video into us this morning that shows the firefighters putting out flames at the nuclear plant. The fighting around the site is raising new concerns about the potential for disaster as Russian forces attempt to push further into civilian areas in Ukraine. Jessica Gallagher is in the capital for us this morning. The Russian capture, Jessica, of Zaporizhzhia, that largest of nuclear power plants in Ukraine, in fact, the largest of its kind in Europe. What further detail do we have this hour?
This morning, we have been informed that the blaze is officially out, the fire is contained, and that it wasn't actually at the nuclear facility. It was at a nearby building. Ukrainian officials say that it is under Russian control. This is a very positive development because overnight when this first happened, all we could see were giant plumes coming from this facility. The Ukrainians were saying that they could not get firefighters in to address the situation. And we're not talking about burning something on your stove here. We're talking about the largest nuclear power plant in Europe. This has several reactors. Only one reactor is working now. Officials say that there is no nuclear danger, but also that they do not have control of the plant. It is now in Russian hands, and they are not able to talk to the people that have been hired to work there. They have no control over that. Still a very tense situation.
And we are hearing very different accounts of what happened and who is responsible for it this morning, Jessica, from Ukraine and from Russia. What are they saying, both sides?
Russia came out to say that it was Ukrainian saboteurs that had attacked the plants. Ukraine said that it was hit by a missile strike, and we also heard from Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Here he is.
There are 15 nuclear reactors in Ukraine. If one of them blows, that's the end for everyone. That's the end of Europe. All of Europe will have to evacuate. Immediate action must be taken to stop the Russian army. Don't allow the death of Europe. Stop this potential atomic catastrophe.
Another issue here is not only is this the largest nuclear power plant in Europe, but let's not forget that Russia also seized Chernobyl, the site of the worst nuclear disaster in our lifetime. Essentially, there is a giant sarcophagus that is over the nuclear area, and that should have been replaced. Ukraine was working to replace that. It was going to cost billions of dollars. Now Chernobyl is also in Russian hands, and there is a big fear because Ukraine is not able to, again, communicate with its own workers to assess the situation. Russia says that there is no immediate nuclear threat and that things are under control. The same is being said for the nuclear power plant that was seized by the Russians earlier today. Ukraine blames Russian missiles and Russia blames Ukrainian saboteurs.
Jessica, thank you. Akira Takuhiro is with me. Professor Tokuhiro is the Dean of the Faculty of Energy Systems and Nuclear Science at the Ontario Tech University, and he is in Oshawa this morning. Welcome to our program. We're very glad to have you here with us today.
Good morning. Thank you for your time this morning.
I'm going to bring in the images that the world was watching last night, sir. The live stream on YouTube, we could all see it as the plant burned. You'll see it in these pictures just coming in now. You were watching, I know. What was your reaction? What were you thinking as you were seeing this scene?
Well, I wanted to know the extent of the fire and where it was at the plant. So I understand from the IAEA press release this morning that it was a training building and that the fire was out and no radiation release. So I was not particularly worried, I can tell you.
Even as you watched that.
that.
I think we have even better pictures that show where you can see the incoming fire there, that we actually see the plumes of flame. The comments that I have heard from nuclear authorities is that they are concerned but not panicked about any damage to the power station. So is that maybe the appropriate reaction?
Sure, yeah. Concerned but not panicked. Yeah, it doesn't help to be panicked in this situation. So it's better to deal with the situation as it is at the site.
Okay.
So the fire is out as reported, no radiation leak, and you remain on watch on what happens at the plant.
Okay, so the number one thing we need to have answered is, were there any changes to the radiation levels? And those are normal according to the IAEA this morning.
Correct.
So that's the big thing, and nothing to the contrary. But we do know that there was, there are 6 different power units there, and this is damage to reactor number 1. It is considered still safe. Can you explain the kinds of mechanisms to keep one of these reactors, the confinement chambers, to keep them safe from impact, even from a bombing like this?
Well, the reactor itself there's 6 units, identical units at the site, and it's a large facility. It's right on the river, the Dnepr River, and I understand that the damage of the fireball was near Unit 1. The fire is out. I know that 1 unit of the 6 is still operating, and units 5 and 6 are on standby to provide electricity when needed. So I'm, as I said before, cautious, but not in a panic situation at the moment. So I guess the point is that it takes a lot of knowledge to get to the reactor core. So I'm not particularly worried as long as the site and the plant itself is secure, whether it's by Ukrainian or Russian forces.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get to the core, because as I understand that, there's like a containment chamber, a confinement chamber that surrounds that core. And in this case, it doesn't seem to have been affected.
No. It's the nuclear power plant, as all over the world have many plants have lots of concrete buildings and structures, and a lot of access points, so that it is secure, and it's really difficult to get into the core itself, the core rooms itself. Yeah.
But the other concern, even though right now, thankfully, radiation levels are normal and things are okay, what about power supply? If there should be any interruption to power supply, would that affect the cooling?
Well, it should not. And the grid outside the plant, normally when it's under normal conditions, is providing power, electricity to us, the outside population and the outside cities and villages. When the power is out, the reactors are going to be shut down, or the power that's generated is going to be not in use or shed. It doesn't go out of the plant, right? So it's not going to be used, right? So because the grid is not, if the grid is destroyed, the grid is not going to be there.
So there's nothing about the cooling system, any interruption that could lead to problems with cooling the rods?
It takes time to cool the reactor down, but I understand that there's only 1 of the 6 operating at the moment.
Right. And what about this also? This facility also has an area for spent rods, for nuclear storage at this end, which is less confined, again, as I understand it, certainly not having your expertise. But is that an area, again, of potential vulnerability?
That would I would assume that that would be under some partial, at least a partial to full concrete structure and a housing, but that's also part of the secured area of the nuclear power plant. So again, cautious, but not in a panic situation.
I think yours is a calming voice for us this morning, hearing last night that a nuclear reactor much larger than Chernobyl was potentially, burning, and warning of what could be catastrophic consequences was of great concern all around the world. But you're saying now, right now, cautious, not panicked. What will you be watching for next, though, on this story?
Well, I think other than being, near the site where you get the most accurate information, I suppose the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, is monitoring the situation. There's social media, LinkedIn, where good information and hopefully accurate information is being shared amongst the professionals. So that's what I'm watching.
You're right. IAEA is sending a team there to watch over carefully, and it sounds like they'll be providing the latest information that they have. This is the largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine, but it's also the largest in Europe. We already know that Russian forces also control the territory around Chernobyl, where there's a lot of radioactive waste still. The fact that they are now making nuclear plants targets in a war, the consequences of that, what could that potentially be, sir?
Well, that's worrisome, but as far the nuclear reactor itself doesn't know, only the operators and owners know who the people are. So as long as the site is secured or maintained in a shutdown state or an operating state, hopefully maybe shut down, and the fact that the radiation is not purposefully or intentionally breached or in some manner, then that's the main concern. But again, cautious but not in a panic situation. So,
but if it should be breached, what then?
Well, it takes a lot of knowledge, and it's not something that's easy to do. This is real life, not a movie, right? So, I would say that you hope for a controlled situation as opposed to a panic situation.
Yes, indeed. You do. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your insight and expertise this morning, sir. Thank you.